Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, what is up? The King of Lightning is here today, bringing you guys and gals Berserk. Oh yeah, it has been some time, and when I say time, I mean like it's been 3 months, something like that, since I've reviewed Berserk. I missed chapters 340 and 341. I apologize for that, obviously, but I'm getting to them now, here in this video. Not only that, but chapter 342 as well. Because finally, after what has been, when did the Sea God arc start? It must have started, at least, six years ago. 7 years ago, something like that. Holy shit, man. It's been some time since that arc started, since they got on that ship. And it's been years since they've been on that ship. And finally, at the end of 2015, Guts and company, Sir Pico, Casca, Puck, my man, Puck, they are in Elfhelm, the land of the elves, finally. And seeing Guts take that fucking sword, that Dragon Slayer, yeah, he got all that rust off his shoulders. He's like, oh shit, well, it's been some time, but it's time to get back in the groove, yeah. And he starts swinging at these scarecrows. I'm like, ugh! Oh man, I was so stoked when I saw it because I'm like, yes, because it's bringing back what got me into Berserk in the first place. All right, Guts, guts. Oh shit, dude. Yeah. All right. So before I go any further, all right, let me focus on the previous two chapters. Then we'll go on to chapter 342. So first of all, these two chapters are the finale of Rickert's stay in Falconia. He has now left the nest of the Falcon. He has spread his wings and he's flying over those gates. Though Griffith, he does see that. He scopes that out. He's like, oh, wait, what's going on here? So what that means for the future, I'm not too sure, but what I can presume is that according to Rakshas, the apostles are very obsessive. So they may continue to hunt down, Rakshas specifically, they may continue to hunt down Rickert and company even when they're in the homeland. And that goes double for Rakshas because he's actually from that place. That is, I think, important to know. But at the same time, that's going to be on their terms, as well as Locust. Because Griffith doesn't, at this point in time, we can kind of gauge that he doesn't want Rickert to die. Since Rickert is an original Band of Hawk member. One of the few remaining. One of the very, very few remaining. They're a super endangered species. So, what I do find very cool about that chapter, chapter 340, is the fact that you see both the young master and Rickert work together in order to defeat Rakshas. And I did like that a lot. Because you have Rickert's way using the machinery and the tech, and how he has this trap laid out for him, how he has the fireworks going on, so there's some light. He has the rapid fire crossbow, which is pretty cool to see. He didn't just rely on the Barakira and call it a day. He actually assisted greatly in the defeat of Rakshas. So that was number one. Number two was seeing the young master and Rakshas have this weird mutual respect for one another while they're trying to kill each other. And it was kind of cool because you have them perform these very nice maneuvers, and how you have Rakshas mention how the young master has clearly gotten far more skilled, how he was once arrogant, and the respect that he never had for him, he now has for him, which is pretty cool. Yet the young master did state that he did change because of Guts. There was one man that beat his ass, and he had to change his way of thinking. He had to change his mode of thinking. He had to, get some skills and whatnot. So that was pretty cool to, see that occur. And I did like that. Now, moving on from there, it becomes far more dark when you have the two other guys have the flamethrower, again, made by Rickert. So Rickert, again, his machinery is coming in handy in a lot of spots. And there's the pseudo flamethrower. Rakshas's body is ablaze, and then that's when he transforms into his full apostle form. The first time we're actually seeing it, and it's basically just a bigger version of what we're used to seeing, but it's more they're more rag protrusions. And what he does is that he actually grabs, and this was a really cool part of the chapter. He grabs a horse and he splits it apart over himself to use the blood to try and wash away the fire. That was some hardcore shit. It shows, and so this is the first time the Barakira are seeing this, and they're like, yo, how far has he fallen? Finally, it ends off with Erica getting captured. Now, this is where I have to like really? Because Luca told you to stay in the room, don't do anything, don't run out there, and what did she do? She ran out there. Rickert, I want to do something. No, you're gonna get captured, and I don't need to worry about you being captured. And voila, she gets scooped up like, haha. Like, so in the next chapter, you have Rakshas. Basically, he was going to cut open her stomach, right? He was going to cut open her stomach, split her in half, and use her blood and guts as a means of putting out the fire. That's crazy. Like, that was going to happen. And listen, it's Kentaro Miura. It's not like it couldn't happen. Come on now. I mean, the trolls, for fuck's sake. The trolls. Need I say more? Oh, wow, man. That's bringing up some heavy shit. But despite that, she gets saved by the old man. I mean, I like calling him Guru Pathik. And the old man still has it. He still is able to control the serpents. Well, he doesn't have it in full. You see what I'm saying? But he still does have some of his techniques, some of his skills, where he's able to control these monsters still. He uses the snakes and rats as a means of attacking Rakshas. And that was pretty cool to see that. And how they escape, Rakshas continues the pursuit. So when they said that the apostles are obsessive, he continues the pursuit. He's able to actually fly. Somehow in like this weird rat form, he's able to fly and chase after the old man and company. And Rickert has like a firework cannon thing, which he uses last second to basically take him down from the sky, Rakshas. So chapter 341, I'm going to say, is more so for story progression purposes, whereas chapter 340 was more so characterization, because even though you have Guru Pathik enter in chapter 341 as character introduction, and he did get some characterization, character development, it doesn't compare to Rakshas and the young master, because they get some good character interaction and character development, as well as Rickert, when he had the whole plans and how his machinery came really in handy when it came to actually subduing Rakshas, though they did fail in that because he does, get Erica, but that's her fault because she started to run out there. Oh my god. So, fact of the matter here is that character-wise, it's more so 340, story progression-wise, it's more so 341. And also, what I am noticing here is that when it comes to the previous Bannerhawk members, they start to have these groups around them. So, excluding the main group member, Rickert and Guts, Rickert's group is looking pretty hardcore. There's some hardcore motherfuckers in there. You got assassins and shit. Alright? You got monster-controlling former right-hand mans of insane generals. Pathetic. Like, whoa. Like, it's crazy. But at the same time, Sir Pico is a pretty hardcore dude. Shirka's pretty cool, too. I mean, that being said, I'm just pointing out how you can see how groups are forming around the previous Bannerhawk members. But let's move on to chapter 342. 340 and 41 are both good plus. This chapter automatically I thought was fantastic because we're back. We're back with the main party. Alright, the party. Guts' new party. And the fact that they're off this ship, oh god, thank you. They reach the home of the elves. You have most of the crewmen are actually still on the ship. Then you have the mermaids who are on the Bay Area. And when they reach the before Elfhelm, you have Puck talk about how why he left. And it was a ridiculous story about him and, this boss of the Seabirds, Johan. It was stupid. Johan! Oh my god. Johan the foul. Albatross. I was like, bro. Yo. It doesn't apply as strongly now as it did early on in the story. Puck is there mainly for comic relief purposes. And that's to counterbalance just the insane amount of intensity, of sorrow, and tragedy that the story has to offer. You can't really say it applies that much now, because now that whole sorrow and tragedy aspect of Berserk has died out a bit ever since the Sea King, the Sea God. But Puck, he still is an amazing source of comic relief. That story was amazing, because then it wraps up with like him like on the bird's back, and like they're all cool and shit. Like, yeah. Then he starts to fall asleep. Like, then he falls asleep completely. Starts to drool on the bird's back. The birds get a little pissed off, and then he starts to take out some of the feathers, and finally he pisses on the bird. The bird's like, nah, like Johan, he ain't about that life. He flips over Puck, and he winds up landing on a ship, just a random ship. And lo and behold, that's how Puck left Elfhelm. I'm reading Toriko, and they've been doing a lot of this stuff in Toriko recently. Time flows differently. I was like, oh my god, here we go. Once again, time flows differently in this island compared to the rest of the world. Now, normally it was in the netherworld, and when the lines became blurred, it was actually in the physical world. And so when that happened, a lot of humans would come into the area, and like they have all of these barriers and whatnot. And I'm not too sure if that was something that actually applied when they were in the netherworld. So when the island itself was a part of the netherworld, did time still flow differently there? I'm not too sure. But it does now when it's in the physical world. And the whole thing here is, from what I'm understanding, time flows slower on the island compared to the outside world. So what you have here is, the story goes that like when it comes to kids, they would go to the island. They would stay there for a period of time, and then they would like come back to their homes, and then it would be like years down the line. So basically, time flows slower on the island than it does in the outside world. So what that means is, well, from my understanding is this: Casca, if she's gonna stay there for like the rest of her life as a means of protection, that means that Guts is gonna be long gone by the time she reaches like, let's say, 10 years in the Elfhelm Island. So that, I'm not sure if it's going to work out completely that way, but that's what's the case is. If you stay for too long, time is going to flow differently. So the folks going there to the island, to the core of the island, are a few seamen. You have, I know, right? I'm a 13-year-old kid, leave me alone. You have a few seamen. You have Serpico, Farnese, Shirka. You have, his name always changes, but his name I think is now Ishidro, something like that. Because I thought it was Ishidora at first, but now it's Ishidro, whatever. Then you have Isma, then you have, of course, the wonderful Guts. You have Casca. So you have these guys, and then also you have the captain of the boat, of that one boat, I forgot what it's called, but the boat that they've been on for like 18 years. And you have that one guy with like the curly hair, I forgot what his name was. But he's the one talking to Puck about making Puck king or some shit. Like that guy. So you have this party. They're going to the island right now. And it looks like they're dealing with some magic stuff that's going on, obviously. Because not only do you have the elves that, utilize magic, but also there are sorcerers there. The sorcerers, I believe, to be kids. Like, just unlike their bone structure, it's too smooth. Like in the facial region. There's no strong jaws. I mean, and even if they were all women, it's still too plush. You see what I'm saying? So I'm going to just say that they seem to be kids. And I guess that makes sense too, because if time does flow slower, it will take you a long time to be an adult in Elfhelm. So my assumption here is that the sorcerers are kids who probably lost their way trying to get back home. And because they lost their way, they stay on the island and they became sorcerers and they learned elf magic. Or maybe the sorcerers themselves are elves, but as far as I can tell, they're not like that small. Maybe they're more so like kid size. I mean, that's my assumption, but we'll have to wait and see about that one. And finally, seeing Puck be like the navigator for like the barrier, where because he was an original inhabitant of the island, the magic does not affect him. He can't get lost. He knows how to weave through it. and they all grab onto the string, so the magic doesn't affect them as well. That was pretty cool to see how it all worked out. What happens now is guts time. All right, there's nothing more to it. What happens now is guts time, and Guts' sword speaks for itself. It's magical. So that being said, the chapter overall, this chapter, I'm gonna give it also a good to good plus, and I'm done. So King Lightning, rate the video, comment, and subscribe as always. I will see you guys and gals for the next chapter of Berserk. Have a nice goddamn day.